What's up, guys? We are live here with Tokenicer. Can you tell the Black Room Investing crew a little bit about you and what your journey in crypto's been? And I will start our Rockfin stream.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, so some of you guys may have seen me around crypto Twitter or the crypto part of YouTube. I basically do a lot of educational content on a bunch of crypto projects that I personally believe to have real utility in an economic standpoint. So I'm not talking about something like, I don't know, your mysterious, magical internet money decentralized finance application, but more so things that are applicable in kind of a government use case standpoint and actually gets used in actual economies around the world. So I kind of started off writing Medium articles, and this actually started from me writing these because I wanted to persuade my economics professor to look into blockchain and crypto. And eventually after that, I was like, okay, well, I don't really want to waste all these articles. So I think I'll publish them on a publication site. And so I ran into Medium and published those articles. And fortunately, I was able to gain some traction relatively quickly. And then we expanded to other social content platforms such as Twitter, YouTube, Spotify, etc. And we haven't really looked back since.
Nice, man. Just for everybody out there who may not know, of course, Black Room Investing. I've been investing here for good 4 years now, and been lucky enough to have a show on Benzinga. I don't know if you guys have heard of those, but Benzinga is they do stock and crypto news for people like Webull, TD Ameritrade, tons of different people, and they're a Detroit-based company, and that's where I'm from. So that just happened to work out. And I also do a show on Gentlemen of Crypto. They have the longest running show in crypto. They just did their 1,000th show last weekend. Really great guys, King and Zay. They're probably more on the Bitcoin maximalist side, but they have a whole bunch of different shows on their channel, and people talk NFTs, and I talk a whole bunch of altcoins. I think I'm more on the altcoin side, but just like Coinicer, I tend to look at projects that are more like government related and World Economic Forum related, even though a lot of people have problems with them, and for good reason. But they have really deep money bags behind them. They have really deep pockets, so you know that the project is going to have the money to get off the ground, basically. So where we can start, I don't know if you heard Tokenicer, but Coinbase, they just gave like an amicus brief to Ripple, and they're kind of helping them out with their SEC case by giving a brief to saying that they support Ripple. So I'm really thinking, and I know I'm not sure if you ever watched the Paul Barron Network, but he's saying that there may be something that happens November 15th. There may be some type of summary judgment, and this may just totally just be done November 15th. What do you think about that?
I think that'd be great to see, but personally, I think I've seen a few too many expectation dates from the XRP community to really, you know, take any expectation dates with actual value. I kind of see most of that with a grain of salt, but I did see the whole Coinbase backing XRP, and I think that's really massive because Coinbase was one of the many exchanges that delisted XRP during the whole lawsuit case, right? And
Yep.
largely that's probably to do with them just wanting to follow compliance. But I really think, Coinbase coming out and showing their support for XRP shows that they're not really just, well, I mean, they're probably there for the money for the most part, but
Yep.
they also want to kind of create a more even playing field within the crypto space. And I think it also goes to show that with Coinbase likely being one of the regulated and well-connected players in this space, them backing XRP is probably saying a fair bit.
I agree, man. And from what I can see it seems like Coinbase has like World Economic Forum ties, and coming up here on August 8th, or no, it was August 24th. Be sure to check it out on the channel. I have a video on it. The World Economic Forum listed Ripple as an official partner. So with the Coinbase having Ripple ties or WEF ties, I'm pretty sure that they're like, okay, we're on the same team. We'll help you out with this case now that you've kind of, bent the knee and joined Team World Economic Forum. We got your back. So I think it's really good news. And you're right. With Ripple, they throw out a lot of dates all the time. They always have that rumor that they're going to be gold backed. You never know what to think with Ripple, but I'm really liking this news. And just maybe, of course, not financial advice. Maybe in the short term, we see these guys have a pump.
For sure, yeah. And I think overall, like seeing this kind of activity and support from Coinbase in the middle of a bear market is really, really saying a lot for kind of the development and, hopefully the end of this lawsuit. I mean, it's been going on it's going to be 2 years next month now.
Yep. And you know what? Like some of the things that I've just seen from them, I read an article also in the same video that XRP is going to be working with the Central Bank of Brazil and Travelex Bank to be doing like instant remittance payments. And to me, that's just like a hop step away from being or working with CBDCs. So imagine CBDCs flowing through XRP's ledger and all of that. That could mean a lot more money flow, a lot more fees that they get. Honestly, I see there the sky's the limit in that sentiment.
For sure, yeah. I think it's been really exciting seeing the continued progression of XRP even through the lawsuit, because I think one thing people tend to forget in the crypto space is that this is a global asset class, right? This doesn't just reside in the US or in North America or anything. Like we're seeing use cases of XRP and a lot of other products within Ripple through Japan through SBI Holdings, for example. So it really goes to show that it really is a kind of global decentralized technology that we've never seen before.
Yes, and you bring up a good point. Great segue to the next coin that I want to talk about. People do forget that it's kind of a global deal, right? I saw on your channel you had a lot of great H-bar videos. So, what's your thought on H-bar? And I also saw that you had an H-bar versus DAG video. What's your thought on both of those cryptos? And you can start wherever you want.
Yeah, for sure. So I'll take the first question first. My personal thoughts on Hedera Hashgraph. I think we've all seen their governing council. It's made of pretty much some of the biggest companies in the world, right?
Yeah.
So out of a layer one platform, I personally like if I had to pick one, Hedera Hashgraph would probably be my bet, just because when you have a governance council made of, I mean, companies like Google, IBM, Shinhan Bank, etc., like your odds of succeeding and gaining adoption, well, I should say industry adoption through various industries, because it's not just finance or just tech companies that are in the governing council, right? You've got a variety of things from law to finance to tech, etc. So I really think Hedera Hashgraph has the potential to capture a bunch of the value that's building in kind of the enterprise side of crypto. Now, with Constellation Network, they also operate as a directed acyclic graph, much like Hedera Hashgraph, though their focus is a lot more on kind of the overall concepts of data, big data, and owning your data pipeline. And a lot of people do see them as competitors, largely because they are both directed acyclic graphs, kind of going for a similar approach. But the way I like to explain the differences and value capture between them is Hedera Hashgraph with the large legacy companies in their council. they'll probably capture more of the value within more modern kind of industry approaches. So think things like supply chain, finance, etc. Versus Constellation Network's Hypergraph, which really just focuses on everything data overall, I think is going to be a lot more used in kind of more futuristic things. So think like small microprocesses and microprocedures and micropayments, which is really kind of where the world's evolving to today. So like paying for a small microservice, for example. And I really think that a lot of the value in, I don't want to say the legacy industry, because a lot of the legacy industry is also going to move over to kind of crypto and web3 and everything, right? But everything that's kind of data wise, I think Constellation captures versus more current industry standards, Hedera Hashgraph captures. So, for example, let's think a transaction in a video game. That's probably a lot more data focused, right? So, I can see that being something right up Constellation's alley. And they actually do have some applications that are building things around that.
Awesome answer. I agree with you. It seems like Hedera is going to be that more old school, tried and true companies where Constellation is kind of getting out there with the big data, but also they're going after kind of new and fresh ideas. Like their company Genico that they have on their Lattice exchange, very new and fresh idea. Owning your own medical data, actually being able to participate in selling your medical data instead of doing a 23andMe type deal and like not getting anything for your data. Instead, with Genico, you're actually paying getting something for your data. I like that they had the whole geo jams and the whole token events, and that seems to want to like revolutionize the whole like ticketing and the whole social platform like type space. I really love both tokens. I can't decide against each of them. But they both have that whole, again, World Economic Forum connection in that they're both partnered up with LCX. And what's your thoughts on LCX?
I'm a big fan of LCX in terms of the whole exchange space, because they're one of the few players that are working so tightly with regulations in terms of, you know, they are based in Liechtenstein. So there has been some controversy over that, because I don't know if you've heard about it, but previously Liechtenstein used to be a pretty massive tax haven. So there
Oh,
were some concerns over that, but because Liechtenstein is technically part of Europe, they did kind of have to, clean up the rules a little bit. But they are still a very tax-friendly country. I want to make that clear. But aside from that, I think their advisory board is something that really stands out to me. Having guys like Don Tapscott, Yatsu, who has a bunch of work with kind of the economy within Hong Kong, and Animoca brands. I think they've really captured a lot of the, I want to say, geographical value in terms of really spreading their size and influence. But kind of beyond that, I think their use cases of regulated security token offerings is going to be really massive in the future. And there are other companies building kind of security token offering platforms, and you could see them as competitors to LCX. But I think we can find a kind of middle ground where these all work together, because I think it's still so early in the industry. We shouldn't really be looking at, oh, there's another security token offering platform, but rather kind of how they're working together. So for example, the Swiss Digital Exchange, SDX, that's another platform you could argue has some similarities to LCX, and many people would consider them a direct competitor. But what a lot of people don't know is, through multiple consortiums such as Global Digital Finance, they actually kind of work together and share ideas between each other.
okay, cool. I did not know that. I have not heard of Swiss Digital Exchange. Are they also members of the World Economic Forum or?
Yeah, they've they've got some work done with the World Economic Forum, and then they're actually also, do you know about R3's Corda?
No.
So that's pretty much the largest permissioned enterprise blockchain platform at the moment. So just about any kind of finance, I don't want to say finance, but any banking network that wants to switch over to blockchain, 9 times out of 10 is going to be on R3's Corda.
Wait, okay, R3's Corda. Okay, isn't that is that XDC or is that
It's
what?
its own platform, so it's built through R3 on its own, but they do have a DASL bridge to the XDC ecosystem. Yeah.
Got you. Yes, I did hear of them. Okay, now how would you relate something like that to a alliance block? Because alliance block seems like they want to do some of the same thing and bridge legacy with like Web3 and DeFi. How would
Yeah,
you?
so, kind of, Corda is pretty much primarily just for, so think of Corda as just a DLT. It has nothing to do with crypto. There's not a coin you can invest in for,
Right.
so, to put that out there, but, with Alliance Block, I think, there's actually some pretty major differences because Corda in itself is its own kind of permission blockchain, right? Versus Alliance Block, which isn't a blockchain per se, but it's kind of a layer built over top of blockchains. And essentially, it's an application with, well, people say it's one application, but if you really look into Alliance Block, they've got like 9, 10 different products within one application. So I think the big difference between them is that one's a blockchain network in itself versus one is an application built over top of blockchain networks. Well, I should say it's agnostic to blockchain networks, so you can integrate Alliance Block to any other network. So they have some work done with. They're primarily built on Ethereum, but they can also be accessed on things like Binance Smart Chain, Avalanche, and other. What are those called? Ethereum Layer 2 solutions, right? So like Arbitrum, for example. And they
Mhm.
do plan to add other integrations. So I know they've integrated with Flare Network from XRP and also OBS ERP, which is a project building on Constellation Network. So I'd say that's the biggest difference between them. And I think we could definitely see some collaborations from that because if Alliance Block is bridging traditional finance with decentralized finance and all of Web3 together, who's to say one day we couldn't see Alliance Block being integrated onto R3's Corda?
Gotcha. Okay, so what's your view? I don't know if you have a video on this, or, but have you heard of Cyperium?
I've looked a bit into Cyphereum, but not all too much, no.
Okay, gotcha. So let's move to another token then. Okay, so as far as the LCX partners go, I think we covered like most of them, haven't we? Hedera,
We've covered
DAG.
Hedera, we covered Constellation. They also have the one with Quant.
Yeah, Quant, that's the one.
Yeah.
How do you feel on
So
Quant?
uh if any of you guys have been following me for a while, you would know Quant is by far and large my favorite project. I think it's something like 86% of my entire portfolio at the moment.
Wow.
But yeah, so some reasons I'm so bullish on it. You can easily find multiple deep dives on my YouTube, but the TLDR is they're connecting everything within legacy infrastructure. So all the servers and platforms and clouds we use today to the world of blockchains and distributed ledgers through their operating system overledger. And they do this through something called API gateways. And APIs, you may have heard of them, are application programming interfaces. And so they like to call their solution universal interoperability. And so the term interoperability gets thrown around a fair bit in the world of crypto, right? You hear it
Yeah.
from Polkadot, you hear from Chainlink, Cosmos. I could go on about interoperability. But what makes Quant unique is that it's able to bridge legacy technology into blockchain technology, which really hasn't been something that's been done. And it goes back to the point of how we've spent decades and billions of dollars building the current internet infrastructure we have today, right? And parts of it might suck and might not make sense, But the odds of us just being like, okay, we're just gonna start over our billion-dollar or multi-billion-dollar business and restart building on blockchain is very unlikely. They're gonna want to find that bridge that bridges everything they've spent all these years building into this new world of blockchain and DLT.
Gotcha. So then how would you compare then Quant to Alliance Block, which would be like the easiest solution for a legacy platform to just say, hey, okay, I'm just going to plug into you and then my stuff will work?
Yeah, well, Alliance Block is more so a think of it in terms of bridging legacy to crypto. They kind of do it through regulations, and so the biggest thing that's stopping institutional finance from jumping into DeFi at the moment is largely with regulations and wash trading. Because I mean, they could provide liquidity for some platform, but what if on the other end that's for sex trafficking or money laundering?
Yeah.
Right? Like that could be a really big issue. And as an institution, you do not want that kind of title to you, right?
Right.
So Alliance Block kind of connects them together through. They have a three-layer protocol, and at the bottom layer is the compliance layer, and that ensures every product and every user is kind of in the proper compliant jurisdictions to actually use and operate that specific product. So that's kind of how they bridge legacy and the world of DeFi together. And funny enough, they actually also have a partner with Quant, which they're using to connect certain partners and other modules into the Alliance Block ecosystem. So, for example, the London Stock Exchange is partnered with Alliance Block. And the CEO of Alliance Block, Rashid, has actually come out saying that they will be using Overledger to connect the London Stock Exchange's institutional clients onto the Alliance Block platform.
Wow, that's good. That's amazing news.
It's
And
great
by the
news,
way,
yeah.
and by the way, guys, I have Tokenicer's YouTube in the link in the description. So definitely go over there, like and subscribe, and check out his videos on Quant. Very, very, very nice. So that's amazing news. So what are some cryptos that you like coming into 2023? Because I have my answer on a couple.
Coming
Um,
into 2023, is there a specific number on this or just like, I guess if it's one,
um,
that's gonna be hard.
how about top three? How about that?
Top 3. Oh, okay. Man, that's so hard. Okay. First, I think I always think Quant is a solid bet because I think especially now as I think overall blockchain has kind of solidified itself into like, like maybe in the last 2017, 2018 cycle, there was still some speculations like, oh, this technology is just a fad. It's going to fade away in 3 to 5 years, right? It's
Yeah.
kind of like what people said with the internet. But I think we're kind of at that point where blockchain is here to stay. And, a lot of retail people are still hating on blockchain technology. But that doesn't matter. It's the large enterprises and corporations and governments that actually, make a difference. Their opinions actually make a difference versus retail. And, they've tested a lot of proof of concepts on blockchains, whether it be uh, central banks testing for CBDCs, or even Walmart, for example, using Hyperledger Fabric. And I think because of all of that, interoperability is going to eventually become a main point of discussion because you're going to have all these companies building on different chains and different networks. I mean, it's crazy to imagine that they'd force everyone to build on one platform. Like,
Right.
I I don't think most people can see that happening aside from, maybe a Bitcoin maximalist here and there.
Yeah.
But for the most part, I think interoperability is what will really allow this to, this space to operate at full scale. Because the biggest issue right now is that if I want to send you, let's say, $5 in USDC, I shouldn't have to care what network you're on and what network I'm on. Like, I feel like, let's say, for example, if I'm sending you money through PayPal, I don't need to know who your bank is, and I don't really even need to know much information about you. I just need your PayPal tag. I think in the future that will also happen with blockchain networks, and the way we get there is by seamless interoperability. Like I should be able to send you stable coins on my Algorand wallet into your Solana wallet, for example.
Right.
So yeah, Quant is one of them. Another one of them is Energy Web Token. So this one is focused on build or moving our current legacy power grid into a power grid for smart renewable energies. And so they have a whole foundation that they've kind of formed together. So they operate kind of differently from most crypto projects. And this foundation is absolutely massive. I mean, you've got companies like R3. They've also worked with Ripple. They've got companies like Shell, PTT, which is a multinational kind of energy giant that's based out in Thailand. And so, there's a bunch of talks over these past 5 years, really, of ESG debates and how, there's too much pollution out there in the world. And so I think Energy Web being a project that's building in the whole space of energy and renewables, it's very unique, but beyond just that, they've seen a lot of backing, not just from the big companies in their foundation, which is already saying a lot, but BlackRock has come out shouting them out. And I'm sure we all know about BlackRock. Whether we like them or not is kind of out of the question because those guys have money.
Yep.
And number three, it's the hardest when you got to pick the final one.
If you want to do 4 or 5, go right ahead. I'm okay with it.
Okay, I'll add in a little bonus towards the end, but number three, I think I'd have to give to XRP just because of this whole lawsuit going on. And I mean, they've kind of been embarrassing the SEC, and like people are really seeing that how shady the SEC has been, and people are finally waking up to that. And I think this over the past 2 years of this lawsuit, people have really realized that this lawsuit isn't just about Ripple versus the SEC. This is crypto versus the SEC because if Ripple wins this lawsuit, this sets precedent on what's a security and what's not a security. And let's say if they lose, they can kind of go after every crypto project with the same narrative now. So I think XRP has done a lot of good for the community, well, the entire crypto community throughout this lawsuit. And overall, the risk reward for them winning the lawsuit and then eventually, well, hopefully gaining more adoption because there is that regulatory clarity now. I think the risk reward is just very obvious to, at least hold a bit of XRP. Of course, that's not financial advice, but just kind of how I see it.
Yep. So then, if I were to give 3, I'm going to say Solana. And I know Sam Bankman-Fried has been catching a lot of heat lately. I saw someone say, call him Sam Bankman-Greed. I thought that was hilarious. So hilarious. But the whole thing that they got going with Solana phones and that whole deal with T-Mobile and Helium, they can actually get their own like just crypto phone network. And when Helium is like big enough to just handle it on its own, that's huge, absolutely huge. And I think all of these different cryptos going onto phones is going to be kind of the precursor to a metaverse world where we're just in the metaverse because now crypto and dApps are on phones. So it's just, we don't have to worry about it. It's just as easy as like phone gaming, So Solana would be on that list, and this is not in any particular order. This is just the top 3. I want to say LCX only because they are members of the World Economic Forum. They seem to have their fingers in every little important pie. They're partners with Quant. They're partners with DAG. They seem to be like friends with Coinbase. They have like partnerships and deals and little contests going on with Sandbox. So they're also the European MiCA's guinea pig for European crypto regulation. So really like LCX. And I think this year coming up, we finally see them get their own little blockchain going along with additional securities. And You're right. The third one is always really hard. Okay, I'm gonna say I'll just say Cyperium for right now because the whole CBDC instant payment thing is supposed to be rolled out 2023 around May or June, and they're FedNow's service provider for CBDCs. So they're going to have a whole bunch of money flow through their blockchain if they're going to use it for CBDCs, intra-central banks. So, okay, Cyperium will be number 3 on that list.
I like those picks.
Thank you, brother. Appreciate it.
Yeah, I think Solana catches a lot of slack, and you know, I'm not one to talk. I've talked down on Solana here and there, largely because their network keeps shutting down. That's personally a big problem towards me. I think when you're building infrastructural technology, you can't have that happening. And I like, on the contrary, I do think their idea of the Solana phone is very innovative, and I really think it's things like that that will help further drive blockchain adoption, real physical, tangible products. So, for example, Constellation also has one called the door traffic miner, where you pretty much stick it up on a door, and every time someone walks through geothermal sensors, they sense the data of people walking in and feeds that into other companies or the hypergraph. And because you're pretty much giving out data, you get incentivized in DAG tokens. So it's like a mini node. And Helium also has something very similar to this. And I really think it's these physical products that'll help people further understand kind of the whole incentivized ecosystems and use cases behind crypto and DLT. Because I think right now, a lot of people do understand, like, for example, what Bitcoin is or what a smart contract is, but it's really hard to truly understand the value proposition of it when everything's just an invisible network.
Yep. Yep, I agree. And if I were to throw in like a sneaky fourth pick, I would say Algorand.
Mm.
Algorand, they keep getting more and more money locked up in the DeFi, even in this bear market. Most money locked up in their DeFi total, and they're like the second fastest crypto I know of, with Radix being the fastest. They're 6,000 TPS. The fact that they're not quantum hackable, and they already have a CBDC running in the Marshall Islands, I would say they're doing pretty good for themselves. Also, of course, since they have the CBDC, they're ISO 20022 compliant, and it's just really easy when I use them, and transactions done in like a minute or 30 seconds when I'm sending someone crypto. I like Algorand. What's your opinion on Algorand?
Oh, it takes you a minute to settle transactions on Algorand. I get them in like 3 seconds. It's I love using
Really,
Algorand.
dude? Oh, well, when I do it through Coinbase.
Oh, through Coinbase, yeah. But if you're going wallet to wallet, it can be as fast as like 3 to 5 seconds. Like, it's ridiculous.
Yes. Okay. I'll have to do that. I'm usually not sending with somebody that has another Algorand wallet,
That's
but I'll
fair,
have to
yeah.
do. I'll have
Yeah,
to do.
but if you ever get the chance to, oh man, it is so smooth.
See.
And yeah, I'm a really big fan of Algorand. From, you know, they're founded out of MIT by their computer science professor Silvio Macaulay, which I think really says a lot, because a lot of these blockchain networks are founded by just a serial entrepreneur, which, you know, isn't a bad thing per se. But I'd bet you money that a professor who was at MIT for 40 years teaching computer sciences and has won multiple awards probably knows just a little bit more about coding blockchain technology than your average entrepreneur might.
Just a little bit.
Just a little, right? And another thing is, man, I hate that you brought up Algorand, because now I got to switch out one of the coins in my top 3 now for 2023, because I believe the FIFA World Cup is happening in 2023, right? And we know Algorand has partnered with FIFA, and they'll be helping them launch blockchain-based wallets and assets that are kind of revolved around the whole FIFA event. So who knows? Maybe we saw what happened with NBA Top Shots and kind of the value that had locked up. So kind of just imagine that on the scale of soccer, because soccer is a much larger and more universal sport than basketball is, and this is coming from someone who loves basketball.
Right. You don't tell anyone in America that they don't no. But yes, soccer worldwide has way more of a market share than basketball or football or any American sport to that matter, really.
For sure, yeah, and, beyond just Algorand being the preferred platform that FIFA has chosen, just imagine the amount of attention and kind of exposure and recognition that'll be drawn towards Algorand because they're kind of right up there on the big stage. I mean, this might not show in price appreciation exactly, but I think the more important thing is getting people to kind of understand different blockchain networks and really just getting those names out there beyond, Bitcoin, Ethereum, Dogecoin, Shiba Inu. Those are really what most people know nowadays. And
Yeah.
one project that has been kind of doing so is VeChain. So VeChain has signed $100 million sponsorship deal with the UFC, and while that recognition hasn't taken into full effect yet, it's really cool seeing kind of crypto companies you look at kind of just in your own research, kind of showing up in your everyday life.
Let's talk about VeChain because VeChain, they're always one of those ones that seem to like disappoint me because it's like you have all these partners like Tyson, like Walmart, all these different partners. And it's like your supply chain, that's a necessary thing. Your supply chain crypto. You even have like a DeFi on your platform. So, like, but it never really relates in their price. And I'm just like, what's going on? Like, why?
I think with VeChain, so to say its price doesn't move, I do have a different story about this because VeChain was actually the first crypto I saw a 10x on. And I was like, "Oh my
Nice.
god." Yeah, I unfortunately didn't sell, but, I'm a fan of VeChain and their solutions of, they're a layer 1 platform that's not just focused on kind of building retail applications, but they have true enterprise grade use cases to them. I do kind of relate them similarly to Energy Web Token in the sense that they are another layer 1 network, but they're not like every layer 1 network that's primarily focused on just building and hosting decentralized applications, but there's real enterprise and industry use cases towards these blockchains. Uh, so yeah, I am a fan of VeChain. One worry I do have with them is that because they are based in China, I do worry that kind of limits and hinders their future potential for further partnerships because I don't want to say this on your channel for monetization reasons, but we all know kind of how China operates, right?
Yep, exactly. Yep. And yeah, man, that's I like VeChain too. Like their list of partners, like the people that they work with on real life things are just amazing. Like I even saw that they were working with Salesforce. I was like, what?
Yeah. Have you seen their BMW and Walmart partnerships?
I saw the Walmart one, but not the BMW one.
Yeah,
Amazing.
so they have a partnership with BMW as well, and one thing I am speculating a bit on myself is that they are going to announce a partnership down the line with Louis Vuitton because for those who don't know, two of VeChain's core members actually were working at some chief and head of levels at Louis Vuitton before they moved over onto VeChain, and I think working within that industry really showed them kind of the fraud and counterfeit that could be countered with blockchain technology.
Yeah. Yep. Yep. That's a big problem, especially with like designer clothes like that. So yeah, man, you might have just made me a little bit more bullish on VeChain.
But yeah, so I do have some very hopeful thoughts of VeChain, but I do kind of worry on that side of things because of where they operate geographically. There are some other projects building in the supply chain space in crypto, such as Origin Trail and Morpheus Network, and even XDC Network a bit. So I look at those a lot. Specifically, Morpheus Network is one I've been looking at a lot, and largely because this one is kind of similar to Quant in the sense that they're not actually just a blockchain per se, but they call themselves a middleware technology. So they kind of work as the glue between all these legacy supply chain modules. But then in supply chains, you also need to integrate payments, right? So they have an integration with Swift. And then beyond this, because of everything moving to blockchain, they're agnostic to technology. So you can connect, say, your legacy modules directly into, I don't know, VeChain, for example. So let's say UPS wants to migrate over some of their operations in the VeChain. Through Morpheus Network, they can simply do that without having to overhaul their whole technology stack and rebuild.
Gotcha. I have to check that out. I haven't. I saw that you had a video on it, but I didn't watch it yet. So I have to check that out. That sounds really amazing.
Yeah, it's
Um,
a really interesting project.
I know I did check out Origin Trail because of the whole WEF connection.
Yeah, yeah.
They were selling the personal protective or doing the supply chain for personal protective equipment and stuff like that. And I saw that they were creating a new coin. Did you see any information on that?
I have not heard of that, no.
So they're like creating a new coin on Polkadot. And the
Interesting,
whole
okay.
thing that they wanted to do is like to do like a kind of a loan platform, like almost like, okay, you can put things on a platform and like tokenize it like a Tesla or real estate or whatever, and tokenize and buy it and take a loan against it and all of that different stuff. That's the last thing I heard that they were doing. I just haven't checked back into it.
Okay, yeah. That was for Origin Trail, correct?
Correct. Yep.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, Origin Trail is a very another very unique one. I haven't looked as far into this one, but from the partnerships I've seen, it's rather impressive. So as you mentioned, the World Economic Forum, always good to see. Well, good as an investor, maybe not
Right.
good, morally, right? But
Right.
they've also got Oracle. I don't have to say much about Oracle. It's a household tech company at this point. And then they got Microsoft, which even bigger of a household tech company, right?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Now, have you heard of Reddit or done any research on those guys?
RDX, Radix.
Yeah, Reddit.
I've looked a bit into Radix. I haven't had the time to fully take a deep dive in it yet. No, I've heard it's another layer one that's really focused on kind of efficiency overall.
Yep. Yep. And I saw that they like did some type of test where they were like a million TPS and
Wow.
verified it through like Google Cloud. And I was like, oh, that's amazing. I'll keep my eye on you.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. When you're seeing a million TPS. But I think that leads me to my point that one worry about TPS I have is a lot of times when you boost TPS, you have to be sacrificing on the other side, whether that be security or decentralization. So it really makes you think how exactly they're achieving this level of TPS. Do they just have a lot of network nodes? Or did they, I don't know, do they not have a lot of network nodes and it's just run in a single, almost like server base?
I did not do any deep dive onto that, but I know that their whole thing is, well, a lot of crypto's whole thing is like the whole blockchain trilemma that you just
Yeah.
spoke of. And as far as I know, as far as I've seen, Algorand seems to be closest to this, but I just want to keep my eye on them because of that whole million deal.
Yeah, for sure. I think it's really important to keep an open mind on all these projects coming in because I think it's really dangerous when you just find one project you like. So for example, like maybe it's Algorand and you're just like, no, this is the best network. I don't need to look at anything else anymore. I mean, we have to remember this industry is only 10 years old now, or I think it's 12, 13, something around that, but it's a very young industry. And if you look back at the internet when it was at that age, I guarantee you 99% of the applications and things on there are not talked about today.
Oh yeah. Oh
Yeah.
yeah. And that's always my concern too. Like it's such a baby, but then it's like, okay, if they bring in regulation, they may just price out all the little normal people. Like a like I'll say I'm a normal person. Like us, right? And then like so I really stress to everyone like, okay, get in while you can now because if regulation comes, it probably will look more like the stock market, where it's like, okay, a decent crypto is now like, you know, hundreds of dollars for a coin, right? Um, that's my big worry. I don't know. What do you think about that?
I think that will come eventually. I don't think that comes with regulations though, but that comes with actual industry adoption, where obviously not every coin is gonna pump. Like I can't really see, IBM using Dogecoin's chain for anything really. Maybe they
Right.
might accept Dogecoin payments one day. With Elon Musk buying up Twitter now, I wouldn't be surprised if we saw Dogecoin integrated. But IBM, maybe not so much, and other banking institutions, especially not. And I think that's where we will see projects that are actually building enterprise grade technology see appreciation in their token if their token is actually needed towards their network. So there's some tokens where the token really doesn't do too much. It's just used for either governance or I don't want to say doesn't do too much because governance is an essential part of a network. But if they're only a single function token, it might not pump as much. But versus a token that's essential to a network, I can see a lot of value being captured in that. So I'll take Ethereum as an example. To do anything on Ethereum, you pretty much need ETH in your wallet. So the demand for ETH just skyrockets, especially with it growing it's still growing as the largest layer one platform at the moment. And regardless how you feel about Ethereum, I have some mixed feelings about ETH, but it has shown and proven the test of time that it's the strongest layer one so far in terms of, staying alive and actually, attracting more developers on there.
Yeah, I think I was going to say it. I think the World Economic Forum has a lot invested in Ethereum, and for that, I think it's not going to go away anytime soon. But
No, I don't either. Have you looked into the whole ETHgate debate?
no,
Oh, I gotta send you a link of that after, but it's to do with the XRP lawsuit, and it shows basically how Ethereum basically got a free pass on not being labeled a security, largely because of its ties with JP Morgan.
wow. Oh yeah, definitely send me that. I would enjoy
Yeah,
to read that.
JP Morgan always has something to do in the background, hey?
They always do. If you,
Yeah,
I don't even know if I can say that on here. I'm not gonna say it.
that's
I
like I
won't
said
say
that.
it.
You might have
But
to cut that out.
there are certain rumors about J.P. Morgan and Tesla, the
Oh,
inventor.
okay.
I'll
I
just say.
haven't heard of that yet. No.
Well, there's certain rumors that J.P. Morgan may or may not have stopped Tesla from doing like a free energy type deal back in the day when he was doing it. But
I wouldn't be surprised. If you looked at where some of the companies JP Morgan holds, I think a lot of people would be surprised. So this is a bit on the kind of deeper end of things, but for example, I'm sure a lot of you guys know about CNBC News, very popular news platform. They're actually owned by NBC, and NBC is owned by Comcast. Uh, I think a lot of people know about Comcast. I believe they are a publicly traded company. I could be wrong. But if you look at Comcast's largest shareholders, uh, it's actually from some of the biggest banks in the world, such as Vanguard and BlackRock. So that really makes you go and think who really controls the news sources and what they can put out there? Because it's not the news anchor, it's the shareholders.
yep, yep. Oh man, sounds like we might have to do another show on Rockfin where we can actually talk about this stuff
Oh, I'd love to, man.
and not get censored, because I want to say so much right now, but I can't.
Yeah,
Oh
no, man.
man.
I'd love to come on to another discussion where, we can just take the filters right off.
Oh man, that'd be great, because there's certain things with the news where it's filtered a certain way that I don't like.
Yeah,
Um
I can see you gotta be careful with your words at the moment, eh? Yeah.
so careful. So freaking careful. That's seriously why I had to get a Rockfin, because it came up so many times where I wanted to say something and I just couldn't. Uh,
Yeah, I mean, I'll definitely have to take a look into Rockfin.
um, so a question in the chat. What do you guys think about HT? Is that Heiko? What's HT? Let me look that up.
Yeah, I haven't heard of HT.
Me neither. Let me see. Yeah, it's not pulling up for me. Hubei token. That
Oh,
the Hubei
Huobi
exchange?
token.
Yeah.
Does that go by HT? Oh, yes, it is. Okay. Huobi, I know it's a pretty big exchange. I personally haven't used it. I believe they are based in China. Correct me if I'm wrong on that, but I do think they will likely be a fairly successful exchange, being that, if they're based in China, they're probably working with the party is where I'll leave it at.
Right.
Yeah, so they're invited to the party. So I think because of that, we'll probably see some continued work with Huobi in that kind of sense. And beyond that, they also do work in some pretty legitimate blockchain consortiums. So, for example, I it may be either OpenVasp or Global Digital Finance, but LCX is in those, and they actually also, Huobi is also a member within those alliances. So it's possible that there is some work together between the two, or at the very least, some discussion.
And how do you feel? This is from Casper Holstein, a Patreon member. Shout out to Casper. How do you feel about Theta?
Theta, I think Theta is a really cool project in the sense that it's kind of building what I like to call a Web3 YouTube almost. Except they do plan to expand more than just videos. I think the one thing to kind of keep in mind is that Theta is kind of the first of its kind, and while it does technically have the first mover advantage, there is also the threat that someone sees the idea of Theta, finds a way to kind of augment and expand upon that, and it just becomes a better version of Theta. Because the whole concept of kind of Web3 and well, not Web3 itself, but Web3 incentivized. I want to say like incentivizing you to give your attention to them is still a relatively new thing, and there's probably going to be a lot more that changes within that landscape, whether it be regulations or just other new projects that aren't even on the market yet coming in the future.
Yeah, and Theta has another like who's who list of validators like Samsung, I think T-Mobile. Like, so they're definitely connected into all the quote unquote right people, right? Another one I would say like is Gala. What's your thought on Gala?
So I haven't taken too much of a look into Gala. I've heard about it here and there. I do work with some people that are pretty fond of Gala and do run a Gala node or two. Uh,
Nice.
yeah, so I can't speak too much on it, but basically from what I've read, I am a fan of their ideas of pretty much creating, unlocking the value in the gaming industry, because I think it's undeniable to say that a lot of the things in the world of gaming have a lot of value, whether it be, a limited edition skin or a certain play from a professional player as an NFT. So I think in the world of gaming, there's a lot of value to be unlocked, because I think as we continue to progress as a human race, I mean, for example, most kids nowadays, their parents grew up playing video games, and that trend is just going to continue further and further as kind of life goes on, and eventually it's going to be games in the metaverse, right?
Yep, and I don't know if you know, but Gala just recently started a Gala film and a Gala music,
Wow,
and
I think I've heard about Gala music. Yeah.
there's still some film notes available, but just that they're thinking about going into those other two areas just made them a lot more bullish for me. And just like the thought of what they can do in that area. And I know with the music they have Ice Cube, Snoop Dogg, and E40 on there, and those are like the biggest West Coast rappers you can pretty much get. I think they might have Dr. Dre too.
Oh,
Yeah,
wow.
and Snoop Dogg has he bought the whole rights to Death Row Records, and he's using Death Row Records IP on Gala Music. So I'm pretty bullish on the Gala too. And I might even try to get one of those Gala film nodes. Um, Now, Gala Music and Gala Film are going to have separate tokens, and they're not going to really kind of reward people until it gets up and running. But kind of right now, it's cheap-ish. I think a Gala Film node's only about like only it's about $5,000. But I can't remember how much were Gala nodes when they first came out. Like,
Oh, I can't remember, man. I hopped on a Gala fairly late.
yeah, man, me too. Like by the time I was like looking into getting a Gala note, it was like $10,000. I'm like, I don't have that much.
Yeah. So some of these nodes are just, really getting out of reach.
Yeah, man. So I was like, okay, film note at 5,000. I don't know. Somebody's gonna do it, but I don't know. I don't know. Because it's gonna depend on me like how long are they gonna take to get Gala film up and running. So how long is my $5,000 just gonna sit there, you know? But
Yeah, for sure.
I'm sure they're gonna properly incentivize people, but I'm getting kind of high on Gala too.
Yeah,
After
I
hearing.
think that's really cool that you brought those 2 points up because I haven't heard too much of Gala Music and Gala Film, and I really think them just expanding on that to capture pretty much everything to do with entertainment
Yeah.
really goes to show, like, they're not messing around. And I think, how you said they landed, Snoop Dogg and, was it Ice Cube? And
Yes.
Dr. Dre? Like, those are
Yeah.
some really big artists, and, what that leads me to the point where
Oh,
it
and let me not leave out Too Short. Some people, there's some fans that would kill me if
I
I
haven't
left
heard
out
of Too
Too
Short,
Short.
honestly. But, one thing that's really impressed me is how, so Gala isn't the only project that's, building the music industry. I'm sure you've heard of other ones yourself, such as, we were talking about GeoJam earlier.
Yep.
But these projects somehow land some really massive people in the music industry, and it's really impressive. So, for example, Mariah Carey is actually an advisor to GeoJam. And then there's another project called Hustle that's focused on a very similar thing. And while they're built on Ethereum, they're actually being incubated by a project called Unison. And so Unison, the reason I kind of talk about them as a project is because of some of their connections. So the Quant CEO and the Alliance Block CEO are actually both advisors for this project, in addition to one of the co-founders for the Band of Angels. The Band of Angels is the first ever Silicon Valley investment group ever. So that's saying a lot. And so you probably wouldn't see a co-founder of the
Excuse
first
me.
ever angel investing group to join just a random crypto startup unless he really knew there was something back there. And
Yep.
so they've actually they have an incubator system, and they've incubated Hustle, and there's a couple pretty big artists that's backing Hustle as well. I can't remember which artist it is off the top of my head, but I can look it up real quick.
All right, thanks, man. I'm gonna have to look into that Unison.
Yeah,
Um,
Unison's real cool.
I kind of was looking at Opulus. I'm not sure if you heard of them before, but they're on the Algorand blockchain, and they're doing like the tokenization of an artist's like masters. So they say. Um, so I know they had records with what is his name? Tyga
Oh,
on there.
Tyga, yeah.
Um, Little Pump, a whole bunch of different people. And there's this company called Royal that's doing the same thing, and they had Nas on there, but um, Opulus wants to make it a whole, like, more of a whole DeFi type deal. Um,
Okay.
Royal's just doing it like, okay, you just get part of the rapper's proceeds or whatever.
Yeah.
But Opulus really wants it to be this whole DeFi, staking, all this type of deal. So Opulus is going to be one I'm kind of watching in the future. They haven't gotten the whole like exchange up and running yet, as far as I know. But yeah.
Yeah, that'll be exciting to see. I mean, I'm not too well versed in the industry of music. Like, I hardly know what an artist's masters is. I've heard about it a couple times, but I think that might be more business to business based within, from one music producer to a music artist.
Yeah, it's like basically the rapper's proceeds, like you really own part of the record as if you were the rapper.
Interesting.
Or
Okay, yeah.
so
Yeah, so that plays further towards the fractionalized ownership of things, right?
exactly
Yeah.
100. So I'm not sure how I'm thinking about the whole like that works well for rappers, but then when it's like you go like tokenization of like say someone's Tesla or whatever. Okay, what happens then when you default? Do you lose your whole entire Tesla? Like to me, it seems really convenient, but it also seems like
A
okay,
lot could go wrong, right?
yeah,
Yeah, I think what would happen with a fractionalized Tesla is that I think the concept of a fractionalized car is it's very novel, and there needs to be a lot of thought that goes into it before it happens, because you could argue, yes, where it's like, if you own 1/4 of the Tesla, 25% of the time you get to use the car. But why would you not just rent a car at that point, right? To rent it for when you actually need it versus just owning 1/4 of a car. So there has been a lot of talks of that, and I kind of see the tokenization of things like cars and even homes in a kind of luxury sense where, you might tokenize a house you find on Sotheby's. And, for 2 weeks of a year, because you own like 0.2% of that land, you get to live in, I don't know, the far left room of that mansion. But with cars, I think that's a little harder to depict from. And what happens if one of the people who fractionally owns the car just crashes it? That just ruins the fun for everyone, right?
yep. Yep. So a lot of things need to be said. And that's not even talking about regulation, right? So a lot of things need to be said before that.
Yeah, but I think with that, on the other end of that, there's a lot of uses for tokenization for that. So, for example, a bill of lading. So, when you transfer your ownership of a house, uh, that has a lot of issues with filing and kind of all the information being gathered in one spot. Because if you're trying to sell a house, you don't just want the records for when you owned it, but you want the full history of that house's records to see any damage control, maintenance, renovations, etc. That can be a massive mess if the you previously went to this one agency to renovate, but then you went to another one to quality check your house. Now you got to run between a bunch of different places just to get the proper records to sell your house. And this also goes to insurance companies with cars and stuff. uh there's a lot of issues of, let's say you are in one city and then you move to the next one, and in this new city you plan to sell your car, but all the records of that car was at the insurance company that was in the previous city. Well, you've got a huge mess due to siloed systems now, right? And with tokenizing a product and creating a digital twin of it, you can simply track the record through its entire product lifecycle.
Yeah. So honestly, that sounds like really cool. If you digitalize it, it seems easier than actually having it on paper.
Oh, for
Um,
sure. The gym I go to is at a Navy base, and so every day I go in, I have to show them my driver's license, And every time now, I think about it more and more that, God, I just wish my driver's license could be tokenized as an NFT so I wouldn't have to pull my wallet out as I'm driving.
Oh man, yeah, that would be cool. That would be cool. But then I wonder, like, oh God, we're not on. Okay, let me see if I can say this and hopefully not get a strike. Um, you got this whole transhumanist movement and stuff like that. Like I could see there being just one day where we're like chipped, and it's like, okay, your ID is on your chip that's in your hand or something. And I'm not even sure how like that will work out as a human, but I'm not even gonna. You don't have to answer that. We'll have another show if you're
Yeah,
down. All
we
right,
gotta have a show dedicated to talking about things just like that, though.
right. All right, man. It's 1 hour and 5 minutes. I don't know how much time you have. I'm enjoying myself. This is thoroughly fun to me. Shall we go on, or do you have a hard cutoff time?
I do have to leave around 5:30 or so because I've got another class to head to. But if you want to talk for like another 15 minutes or so, I'd be more than happy to.
Sounds great, man. Okay, so I think we covered a lot of stuff.
For sure, yeah.
As far as like, let's see, NFTs. I'm not sure about how, like, okay, in this bear market, I'm wondering. This is something I'm just even just spitballing myself. I don't know if buying blue chip NFTs are really going to be a thing, considering like, okay, when the next bull run happens, when Bitcoin halves again. Like, okay, let's not even talk about Bored Ape because we know they have some sketchy type things going on, as far as like their subject matter. But like, let's just say like, let's just use them because everyone knows them. Like, okay, what if you were to buy one of those? Do you think that would be a great, like, of course not financial advice, investment for like the next bull run?
Oh man, that's tough. I think with the Bored Apes, it's a really interesting situation because on one hand, this is one of the strongest communities we've ever seen. I mean, you've got celebrities like Stephen Curry and Snoop Dogg hopping on this. So that is saying a lot. And I mean, they just bought up CryptoPunks and Yuga Labs. Those were two other massive companies working in the NFT space. On the other end, though, well, actually, before we talk about the other end, they've also launched their own token, which really just incentivizes their ecosystem even further. And I do have some not so great thoughts on their tokenomics because of the way it's structured, but we'll leave that for the Rockfin podcast. But so that's kind of the good side of the whole Bored Ape community. They have a very strong community and very, very strong brand recognition. I would say almost on par with the level of Bitcoin and Ethereum. Like Bored Apes have become something that even mainstream can just see and realize what they are at this point. Now, on the other end of this is that uh, they've been hacked multiple times through their Discord, and that's resulted in a lot of people not just losing money, but also a massive security breach, which is not something you want to hear about when you're in the world of crypto. They've also beyond just being hacked a lot. It to me it kind of shows a level of unprofessionalism, but beyond that, I mean, just to keep it real, these are pictures of apes in kind of pixel format. Like we saw them run really. I mean, there was a time where bored apes were literally the price of like a house in many cities, which is just insane to think about. And while it really goes to show how cool and innovative NFTs can be, it really doesn't show the use case. Like if you have a photo of a bored ape, what really can you do with it aside from, flex to your friends and be like, "Hey, I officially own this bored ape." You really can't do too much with it. And I really think this is still just, the first edition of NFTs coming into mainstream adoption. I think we've still got a fairly long way to go with NFTs before they truly find their real use cases. And what I believe their true use case to be are for things like concert tickets, passports, IDs, certificates, loyalty rewards, etc. So personally, eight bored apes aren't something I'm personally looking to touch, though I think with their community, if you time it right, you could potentially, make a pretty good trade. Again, not financial advice.
Sweet, man. So it's 5:14, and I don't want you to be late for your class. Thanks so much, man. This has been really fun. Yeah, man, I'd love to do it again if you're down.
Yeah, for sure, man. I had a lot of fun talking about this, and just some of the different points you brought up really, made my mind think in a different way too.
Awesome, man. Can you tell the people where they can reach you? And yeah, man, it's been
Yeah, for
amazing.
sure. So I'm on a variety of platforms from Twitter, YouTube, Medium, Spotify, Instagram, uh, all at Tokenicer. I think you guys can see my name on the screen if you need help spelling it, or you can head on over to tokenicer.network, where I pretty much have all my social content platforms and pretty much all of the highlights from my content linked in one spot.
Sweet, man. Thanks so much for coming out.
Awesome.
Thanks.
Thanks for inviting me. I had a lot of fun.
Oh yeah, man. This has been amazing. Thanks so much, guys. Have a good one. Peace.
Yeah. Peace.